If you've been following along and have never joined a design bootcamp, I'm going to encourage you to sign up. It's 5 hours of workshops, and we have live versions going on often, so you can come and ask questions. Go to www.designsweetcourses.com/designbootcamp. If you have been struggling to get sales from your design work or understanding what you really need to do to make money, I have the workshop for you. On September 23rd, I'm hosting my first ever Profitable Designer Workshop. This 1-day, 3-hour workshop is only $97, but I have a discount for all my podcast listeners. Go to carinagardnercourses.com/profit and put in the code podcast for $50 off. I can't wait to see you more profitable. Welcome to the Make and Design Podcast. I'm your host, Carina Gardner. On this podcast, we're unraveling the everyday joys and dilemmas of design, making, and business. For makers who want to be designers and for designers who are makers, this is your inside scoop to help you grow your business and bring more creativity to your life. Today, I want to talk about commitment. Okay, that's a really big word, and it seems like not the word you would normally use with designers, design makers. So this is a little bit for everybody because I'm hoping a little bit of self-awareness goes into this episode. Most of the time, I'm just talking directly to designers, but this is literally for everyone. And I mean, let's just talk about all the ins and outs of being a committed person. Okay, so we all know people who are a little flaky. We might have a lot of flaky people even in our lives. We also know people who are super reliable, right? The people that you know, like when they say they're going to show up at 2 o'clock at this place, they will be there at 2 o'clock at that place, right? So like the super reliable person, the person who's committed to what they say they're going to do, and the person that doesn't, okay? I actually was listening to something else and I was thinking about how like it's so crazy to me that commitment in that, when we talk about it in that way, reminds me of actually the word integrity, like doing the things you say you're going to do, right? I don't think we very often think of it that way, but it actually is. Like the person who is always committed and does what they say they're going to do, that's someone who has integrity, right? It's just very kind of an interesting thing. Anyway, I wanted to talk about this. To me, like commitment is a funny thing because it's a little bit like self-will, like willpower, right? Because commitment is different depending on the thing you're talking about. Like, for example, maybe someone is very, very committed to their family, but less committed to their church. Or maybe your teenager is very, very committed to getting straight A's, but they're terrible at being committed to, you know, a certain date or something they're supposed to do, you know? So like everybody has different levels of commitment depending on the thing. I think of that as like willpower as well, right? Willpower, I read this wonderful book. I would recommend it to all of you guys. It's called When by Dan Pink. It's such a good book, you guys. It talks about when in the middle of the day, like when is our best willpower? Like when do we have our most willpower? Because it's a waning thing. It's not like someone who has willpower always has willpower. That's not actually the case. Like there are certain periods of the day based on how tired we are or how much sleep we've gotten, all these different things that can affect our willpower. I don't think that's the case with commitment, but I think that there are levels of commitment, like levels of reliability, levels of, and it depends on the thing, right? So like I might be extremely committed to making sure I get my silhouette, my SVGs in every single week, right? So that for me, that's 20 designs. But maybe I am less committed to making sure that my fabric collection goes in on time. You guys, I might be using real life examples at this moment. Oh, I have been working on my fabric line. I started it. Okay. I started it. So it's a very interesting thing. Now, this is kind of where we kind of get back, okay, to talking and a little bit of self-awareness. What kind of person are you? And here are some ideas to help you decide what kind of committed person are you? Like, are you someone who is like totally committed to the things they're saying they're going to do? Or are you someone that like, maybe you're a little bit flaky or maybe untimely? or maybe you like string other people along. Okay. Like, I mean, there's like all kinds of levels, right? And we're kind of talking, it's like kind of a mix of reliability versus flaky versus, because not every person is the most reliable person ever, right? I find myself to be a very reliable, very committed person. When I say I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it. But extenuating circumstances come up, right? Here's the thing. Are you someone where extenuating circumstances shows up 20% of the time, 50% of the time, 80% of the time, 90% of the time? Are you someone when you're on your way to something will turn around and head right back because of something that got in the way? Okay. So be kind of self-aware. I think about this all the time. If you're not committed to things that are little and easy, like for example, meeting some girlfriends for lunch, how can you be committed to things that are harder and more difficult, like joining my Design Suite program? And I mention that because the girls in my program are committed. Like that, I've been thinking about them and how many of them are rewatching the webinars we do weekly. Many of them show up to the webinars when they can make it work and come and ask questions, and they're committed to becoming great designers. And what I like about that is that they're seeing long-term gain, right? Like that's the thing about commitment. Commitment is like if you commit to go meet with your girlfriends one time and you go, that shows a little bit that you're reliable, right? Next month, you commit to go see your girlfriends, you see them, and you show up. Guess what? It like kind of doubles up. Oh, she's someone who's reliable and does her commitments, right? The third month, you don't show up, even though you said you're going to go. Well, that like kind of pulls you back, right? Like you kind of are like, wait, is she kind of flaky? Was it a fluke the first 2 times? So one of the things about showing that you're a reliable or a committed person is that you're someone who is consistently coming to the table and doing what you're saying you're going to do, right? As much as you possibly can, and 100% of the time if you can, right? And like I just find it so interesting because also, as I was talking about varying levels and different things, right? Being committed to something easy, which I just talked about, is much harder than something that's really hard, okay? Now, I'm talking, I hope, and I kind of assume, to actually a bunch of people who are actually very, very reliable. If you're here, maybe you've come from me from one of my Instagram feeds. Maybe you've come from, like, you've taken one of my courses, or you are in my Design Suite program or my Design Mastery program. You're someone who's been committed for a while to do something with your life, right? And so I'm not just talking to designers here. I'm talking to anyone who is committed to living a profitable life. And I'm not talking about money here. I'm talking about living a really wonderful life and trying to do your best and live with integrity. Now, that can mean a lot of different things, but I'm here right now just talking about commitment levels, doing what we say we're going to do, and moving forward. So anyway, this is just a little food for thought. And in a lot of ways, I'm talking to my own Design Suite members who are committed, and I just want to applaud them for being so committed. And so many of you out there who are designing, making, creating. I mean, the number of Instagram feeds I see where my silhouette designers, they're just out there, they're making all the things every day, is so impressive. They are committed to educating and inspiring other people with the crafting things that they're doing, right? They are committed to sewing and making the quilts and sharing the quilt patterns and making every day and sharing with you. There are so many different ways to be committed, right? But also just kind of dig deep and say what kind of person I am, because this really leads into something else, which eventually I hope I'll talk about on this podcast, which is when we're committed to something, we actually are building an identity, okay? And I don't know that a lot of people talk about this very much, but when every day you design, if you have imposter syndrome, one day you're going to wake up and say, oh, I'm a designer. I designed every day for the last 6 months. Guess what? That makes you a designer. I made, like a paper craft every single day or every week and shared it on Instagram for the last 3 months. that's going to build your identity as someone who crafts and inspires other people, right? So like there is all this pattern building that goes into people who are committed to what they are doing. That becomes part of their identity. And when we are flaky and we don't follow through, that also becomes part of our identity. And so we have to be careful of that, because I actually think that's really demoting to feel like I'm flaky and I can't get this thing done. And I know how I feel. When I can't get something done, I feel bad about it, right? I feel like I haven't followed through. And so I like to come back around and just like make sure that's not part of my identity. And the way I do that is by the next time something happens, I make sure that I follow through, right? Now, I am not saying I'm perfect, you guys. I wish I was, okay? Because sometimes I follow through. In fact, I had a call, it was like probably a month ago, with one of my Design Suite members. We had a 30-minute call, and we did scheduling at night for her because she worked during the day. And I'm used to doing all my calls during the day. So that is my excuse for totally missing the call. And I immediately after sent her a message and was like, oh my gosh, I cannot believe I forgot this, right? And then I went about making it right. And my goal is to never make that mistake again, right? And that is where we're all human, right? We all make mistakes. Don't beat yourself up over it. I felt bad about it, but then I was like, okay, we got to make this happen. I'm sorry I did this. And then come back, do your very best, and then try to never make that mistake again, right? I think that's like the little thing on the other end of, if you make a mistake, first of all, don't beat yourself up about it. And second of all, after you make the mistake, make sure you never make that mistake again. At least the second or the third time, like you're trying really hard to be a committed, reliable person, right? So I just think this is like good lifing, you guys. Like we all know I know you do, because I do too, have people in your lives who are not committed. They whiffle and waffle about things. Is that a word? Whiffle and waffle? And they pull back. They don't commit to the things you say you're going to do and you want to do. Or they say that they're going to do. And it is hard for everybody else. And it's really hard for the person who has organized the things. So anyway, a little self-awareness today. I know some reflection even on my part to make sure that I have integrity and I continue to commit the best I can. And thanks so much for joining me. If you want to learn more about my programs, you just need to go to carinagardnercourses.com, and I will see you soon. Hey, did you know that you can visit me at makeanddesign.com to learn more about this podcast and join my VIP group for weekly freebies? I can't wait to see you there.